Hello and welcome to the Cranky Old Gamer. Today we're going to be taking a look at a horror game. A lot of you guys know that I really like horror. I have a movie collection of over 1,000 movies. Probably at least half, if not 2/3 of it, is horror. I like good horror, I like bad horror, I like gory horror, I like psychological horror. So when I heard about this game, I was pretty excited, especially because I also like hidden movement games. You guys know that I love Fury of Dracula if you saw my review for that. So I was really excited to find out that somebody basically took Friday the 13th, didn't get the license for it, so they made a knockoff last Friday. I really wanted to like this game. I was so excited it went on sale and I got it and I was so excited to get it. The important thing is they tried. Okay, I'm being a little mean. It's not a bad game. It's a very flawed game. The concept of the game, it's Friday the 13th and everything but name. One of you plays the Maniac, the other people play the campers. You have a very large map of a campground, and there are 4 chapters, which it kind of fits with like sequels and all that. The first chapter is the campers getting to their campgrounds and trying to find the keys to their cabins, while the Maniac is, it's not Jason, it's just the Maniac. The Maniac is hunting them down and trying to kill them. And there are, I think there's like 16, no, there's more. There's like 16 to 20 campers. I'd have to count. I should have done that before the video. Next time. But there's a lot of campers, so that if your camper dies, the next round you start with a new camper of the same color. So the Maniac has this shield. On that shield, you write down where you are planning to go. And then depending on the round, there are reveals. So you reveal where you, either depending on the round, you reveal where you were or where you are. Now I talk about rounds. I mean chapters. There are 4 different chapters, and I do really like the idea that it flips it around. The first chapter, like I said, Maniac hunting the campers. Second chapter, the campers are hunting the Maniac, which is cool. That's cool. I like that they flip it around. Third chapter, once again, Maniac, but this time there is a chosen one. The predestined one, I think they call it, which is basically the final girl. And the final girl is running and the Maniac is trying to catch her. And then the final round, the final girl and the predestined one, as they call it in the game, and her friends are hunting down the Maniac for one last fight. Cool in concept. The problem that you have is each chapter starts off immediately where the last one ended. So the problem is, if you're the Maniac and you're chasing the camper, and just at the last turn, because it's timed by amount of rounds, if just at the last minute you miss and the camper survives and you fail that round, well, the next chapter they're chasing you and you're literally right next to the camper and they just have to go boop, done. It didn't quite, it actually worked out the opposite for us when we played. The Maniac was so far away, no, I'm sorry, it was the campers were so far away from the Maniac in chapter 3, the Maniac couldn't possibly keep up with them. It would have been impossible. The map is at least laid out pretty well. There's lots of shortcuts, so they try to mitigate that. They really do. But in the end, the problem is I'm not a game designer, so I can't think of how they would get around that, but that was our biggest problem, was when each chapter ended and began and you start off in the same spots, really kind of put you in an unpleasant spot. I don't know if you've ever played Betrayal. Betrayal at House on the Hill. It's a love it or hate it game. I personally think it's fun, but I recognize that it's a very bad game. But it's a fun bad game. It's like a B movie. But a lot of people that play Betrayal, their biggest complaint is that when the haunt reveal happens, it happens wherever you stand. And if you're screwed, you're screwed. So, and that's kind of how it ended up in last Friday. We did have fun. Probably the first 2 chapters were great. We were like, oh, this game is so much fun. By chapter 3 and 4, the mechanics were not serving the game very well, and that was the problem. Let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the components, all right? All right, and so here we have the board for last Friday. As you can see, it is massive. It takes up a big chunk of the table. It is 6 panels wide. You have paths all over the place, and some of the dots have numbers, some of the dots do not. Campers are represented by pawns. They kind of look like the kids from South Park, whereas the Maniac is a much larger pawn that is big and buff for a pawn, I guess. Campers move from dot to dot to dot. They travel consecutive along the lines. The Maniac, on the other hand, moves from numbered dot to numbered dot. Sometimes the Maniac can move over 3 of the regular dots. If a Maniac moves over the pawn, they are dead, and you put a corpse token, and now they're an obstruction. A couple things that I do like. Each of the cabins here have cards. There are 2 sides. If the Maniac gets to the cabin first, it stays dark. The Maniac can move through the cabin easily. If the campers get there first, they light the place up, and whenever the Maniac moves through the cabin, he has to reveal his location, letting you know where he is. I think that's a pretty cool mechanic. I like that. There are a lot of tokens in this game. There's tokens for tents. For the first chapter, you go around, you flip the tokens, trying to find the keys to the various cabins. The killer, or the Maniac, has special tokens for his different abilities. I will get into those later. And your campers have their own special clue tokens. You see bloody footprints, you flip it over, and it can be an item that you can use. You can carry 1 of each item, which is indicated by your character sheet here. Each character, like Susan, starts with the ability to heal, and is able to pick up all 4 of those. Each one has a special ability. That's kind of neat. So the board is very simple. You have your round tracker down here. Each time you get to 3, 6, 9, 12. The Maniac has to either reveal where he is or where he last was. It's pretty basic hidden movement stuff, nothing terribly original. And if a camper dies, they respawn down here. And lastly, I'll show you guys the killer screen. It folds out. It's very interestingly made. I'm not sure if I like it or not. You take a piece of paper, slide it in there, and voila, you have your screen. You write your locations down here. You have your own perfect copy of the map, so you don't have to look around a lot. You've got locations for campers. You've got rules of what each chapter is. And you've got your little slit here so you can look through, even though you're probably going to be way too tall for that. Not a bad idea. It worked for us. Plus, this really helps so that you're not looking at the map, giving them a hint of where you're going to go. So that's basically your components of the game. I don't want to say that it's cheaply made, but kind of. They put a lot of work into that campers map. That's cool, but like the pawns and the tokens are kind of generic looking. I respect the fact that it is a diceless game. There is no need for dice in the game. Everything is done purely by movement, so that's nice. The powers were pretty cool, but the problem was they're very limited use, but they're also overpowered, and there wasn't a balance between there. The way that the Maniac's powers work, most of them either give him extra actions like super speed or one final move, or they thwart some of the campers. Like the campers have something like a lamp where they can set it on a spot, and if the Maniac goes within a certain range of it, he has to reveal his position. Well, one of the abilities is to use the shadows so that you don't have to reveal yourself. There's the axe, which lets you break into the camping or into the cabins. There's the invisible token, which normally when you would reveal your identity or your location, you don't have to do that. Okay, that's pretty cool. The way that the Maniac can earn these powers back is an odd mechanic. I get what they were going for, but I just didn't like the mechanic because it snowballed. They're called salvation and terror points. So basically, if there are more corpses than there are survivors, then the Maniac gets to earn his powers back, so he can use them again, making him more powerful than when he already won. If the campers have more salvation points than the Maniac has terror points, which again with the corpses, they get to like reveal clues so they know what to go after, what abilities they want for the upcoming game. It really snowballed. Like, you start making, you know, they win, so it gives them a leg up in the next game, so they win again, which, it just, good idea, bad execution. And unfortunately, that kind of predominates this game. It's not a bad game. It is not a bad game. We did enjoy it. It's just not a good game, and that's kind of the problem. If you see it on sale for 20 bucks, it's a fun night. Especially if you really like the theme. If you like slasher movies or Friday the 13th or whatever, it sticks to its theme beautifully. It just doesn't make a very good game out of it. It's kind of flawed. One of the biggest issues that we had is there are 4 chapters, and the length of the chapters in the gameplay kind of was one chapter. You can play one chapter at a time. That's great. But that's not enough. It's very unfulfilling. It's very short. However, 4 chapters is way too long. It was way too long a game. By the end of the 3rd chapter, we're just like, okay, let's go again. Set it all up again. So either make the individual chapters shorter so that the long game is better, or make the individual chapters longer so that you can play it in multiple increments. There wasn't a happy medium. There wasn't a happy medium as another theme of the game. It's not a bad game. It's real. I'm picking on it. It's just not a good game either. It's kind of right in the middle. It's kind of disappointing, but it was okay. So yeah, again, if the theme is up your alley, if it looks like fun and you see it on sale, I would not pay more than $20, $25 for this tops. That's about what I paid for it, and I didn't feel too ripped off. I see it going for $35 and $40 for non-sale. No, this game is not worth that. But it's a good Halloween or horror theme if you're having like a horror night. Okay, great. It's good to have that, but it's not a game that you're going to be like, hey, we should all play Last Friday out of the blue. It's just not. So anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this. Once again, this is Last Friday. If you've enjoyed my videos, please check out my website, The Cranky Old Gamer. I host them all on there, plus any kind of game discussion, any kind of X-Wing stuff. You can see all my X-Wing ships behind me. I'm very big in X-Wing. And check out my Instagram, The Cranky Old Gamer. Once again, I know, it's like there's a theme. Anyway, and if you guys like my videos and you want to help out, I do have a Patreon. There's a link at the end of the video. Please consider donating. I would really appreciate it. So, all right, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this. See you later.